A patio fruit tree can look perfect at the nursery. It is 3 feet tall, covered in blossoms, and sitting beside a glossy photograph of ripe fruit. Then it reaches a balcony or deck where the sunlight is shorter, the winter is harsher on exposed roots, and the nearest compatible pollinator may be several streets away. The tree survives, but the promised harvest never appears. Before you buy that tree, make it pass 6 tests. A patio that fails even one of them can turn a compact fruit tree into a heavy, thirsty houseguest with very little fruit. The first test starts without a plant. Watch the sunlight move across the actual patio on a clear day. A bright space is not automatically a full sun space. A north-facing balcony may feel open while receiving almost no direct sun. A patio under a mature tree may be sunny in early spring and shaded after the canopy fills in. Walls, railings, and neighboring buildings can cut the day into brief patches of light. Fruit trees generally need abundant direct sun to build flower buds, ripen fruit, and keep foliage dry enough to reduce some disease pressure. 6 hours is a useful lower boundary for many fruit crops, while 8 or more is often a better target. That is a starting point, not a national guarantee. Intense afternoon sun reflected from a wall in Phoenix creates a different problem from 8 cool hours near Seattle. Record direct sun for several days and note which hours are hottest. If the site only gets 4 hours of morning sun, do not let a fruit photograph talk you into pretending it gets 8. That space may still grow edible crops, but a tree selected for full fruit production is a poor bet. Honest light measurement is the cheapest test in this entire process. The second test is climate fit, and the familiar USDA hardiness zone is only one part of it. The zone map describes the average annual extreme minimum winter temperature for a location. It helps estimate whether a perennial can survive winter, but it does not predict summer heat, humidity, rainfall, late freezes, or the temperature of roots in a pot. A container is exposed on every side. Roots that would be insulated in the ground can experience sharper temperature swings above it. A tree described as hardy in your zone may still need a protected winter position, insulation around the pot, or a larger container that changes temperature more slowly. Cold hardy deciduous fruit should not automatically be carried into a warm living room, because winter dormancy is part of its normal cycle. Tender citrus follows a different plan and may need a bright indoor winter location before frost. Now add chill requirements. Many temperate fruit cultivars need a certain amount of cool weather before normal spring growth and flowering. A warm winter gardener needs a cultivar suited to lower chill conditions, but a very low chill cultivar is not automatically the smart choice in a colder place. It may resume growth during an early warm spell, leaving tender flowers vulnerable when frost returns. In the hot, humid south, disease resistance and heat response can matter as much as the zone number. In the low desert, reflected heat and drying wind deserve their own check. Along a mild coast, winter survival may be easy, while chill accumulation is not. This is why the exact cultivar matters. A label that says only peach, apple, or lemon is not enough. Look for a cultivar name, then check it against your local cooperative extension guidance. The right species with the wrong cultivar is still the wrong tree. The third test happens at bloom. A tree can cover itself in flowers and still set little or no fruit if its pollination needs are not met. Some cultivars are self-fruitful. Others need pollen from a compatible second cultivar, and the two must bloom at the same time. 2 trees with the same fruit name are not necessarily a compatible pair. In some cases, 2 copies of one self-incompatible cultivar solve nothing. Apples commonly need a compatible pollen source, and certain flowering crab apples can help when bloom overlaps. Some tart cherries are self-compatible, while many plums require a carefully matched partner. Those examples show why a broad rule will fail. Read the cultivar-specific pollination information before choosing the first tree, not after a flower-covered spring produces no crop. Then look beyond compatibility. Will there be room for the partner plant? Is it close enough for the crop and the local pollinators involved? Does the sheltered balcony receive insect visitors while the flowers are open? Wind, rain, and unusual heat during bloom can affect insect activity even when the plants are correct. A tag marked self-fruitful removes one obstacle, but it does not remove the need for healthy flowers, favorable weather, and adequate care. The fourth test is physical, and this is where a tape measure beats a pretty label. Dwarf does not mean permanently tiny. Find the expected mature height and spread for the cultivar and its growing system. Then include the container. Measure the patio, the doorway, the elevator, the stairs, and the winter storage route if the tree will move. A small fruit tree may eventually need a container holding roughly 20 gallons or more, depending on the crop and local guidance. Another extension guide uses 25 to 30 gallons of potting mix as a general range for dwarf fruit trees. Those are planning references, not universal prescriptions. The correct size must still come from crop-specific guidance. More volume can buffer moisture and temperature, but it also creates weight. Wet potting mix, the container, the tree, and fruit can turn a movable pot into something that stays exactly where it is. Check the load limit and rules for an elevated balcony with the property owner or building manager. Make sure excess water can drain without staining the surface or falling onto a neighbor. Drainage holes are essential for ordinary containers, and a saucer should not leave roots standing in water. A layer of gravel at the bottom does not repair poor drainage. It takes up root space and can make the drainage problem worse. Wind matters too. A leafy canopy can behave like a sail, especially on an aqua floor. A broad, top-heavy tree may need a stable container and a support plan, yet the trunk still needs room to develop normally. If the only possible pot blocks a door, overloads the deck, or cannot be moved before a damaging freeze, the tree has failed this test before its roots touch the mix. If this kind of realistic small space gardening helps you, subscribe to Pollinator for more practical ways to make a patio produce well. The fifth test is the maintenance contract. A container can make soil, drainage, and tree size easier to manage, but it does not make a fruit tree carefree. Restricting roots usually restricts the plant, which can mean a smaller tree and less fruit than the same plant might produce in a suitable ground site. The trade can still be worthwhile when a patio is the space you have, but convenience should not be confused with biological advantage. Container moisture changes with heat, wind, pot material, tree size, and the stage of growth. A rigid watering schedule ignores all of them. Check the mix itself and water thoroughly when conditions show it is needed, allowing excess water to escape. A hot midsummer patio may demand attention far more often than a cool spring deck. Wilting is not a perfect moisture gauge because roots can suffer in mix that is either too dry or too wet. Long-term plants also need a plan for nutrients, pruning, pests, diseases, and roots. Too much nitrogen can push soft, leafy growth at the expense of flowering and fruiting. Pruning has to match the crop because careless cuts can remove fruiting wood or invite problems. Some young trees benefit from fruit thinning, so branches are not overloaded. Eventually, circling roots may require repotting or careful root management. If that sounds like more work than you want each season, believe that reaction. The tree is telling you its future before you buy it. The final test is the harvest and exit plan. Ask how long this exact plant is likely to take before bearing, when its fruit normally ripens in your region, and what you will do with the crop during that window. Patio fruit is seasonal. A tree can spend much of the year as branches and leaves, then produce ripe fruit, fallen fruit, and visiting insects over a much shorter period. Consider the messy details while the plant is still at the nursery. Can dropped fruit stain the deck? Will birds take the crop unless it is protected? Can you reach the canopy safely without leaning over a railing? If the tree is tender, is there a bright winter space large enough for the mature plant rather than the young one in front of you today? Every container fruit tree also needs an exit. It may outgrow a manageable pot, become too heavy to move, decline after years of root restriction, or no longer fit when the patio changes. Decide whether you could shift it to a larger container, move it to a suitable ground site, or replace it when the system stops working. Planning that ending is not pessimistic. It prevents a healthy tree from becoming an emergency removal. Now return to that blossom-covered nursery tree. Its compact shape is only the first impression. The real decision sits in 6 green lights. Enough direct sun, a cultivar match to winter and summer, workable pollination, a safe mature footprint, a care routine you can sustain, and a harvest plan with an honest exit. If one light stays red, choose a different cultivar, a smaller fruiting shrub, or another edible crop better matched to the patio. When all 6 turn green, you are no longer buying a hopeful photograph. You are choosing a fruit tree that is a realistic place to live.